For many of y'all Canucks fans, this is going to be the update that you wanted to see. We have ourselves a whole bunch of stuff coming out of writers like Pierre LeBrun. We had Rick Dhaliwal on Donnie and Dolly give us an update, and it all boils down to the Canucks and their desire to free up cap space. We have seen conversations pop up over the past few months, talking about guys like Tyler Myers, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Conor Garland, and the topic of today's video, which is Brock Boeser. Now, Boeser is making a pretty significant amount of money against the Canucks cap, 6.65 AAV until the end of 2025, or 6.65 million AAV, I should say instead. And for a guy who produces the amount that he does, that's honestly not that bad. 55 points, 74 games played last season. If you're making 6.6 million, I mean, you could get worse than that. It's just with the Canucks amount of wingers, the guys that they have so many players that fill up similar roles on the team. You could say, oh, for top 6 right-handed forwards, they've got Boeser, Garland, and Kuzmenko, and plain and simple, that's 3. You only have 2 spots in your top 6 for right-handed wingers, so this team has a few too many guys, and they're going out there and trying to trade players away. But when it comes to Brock, this is the update that we had gotten from Pierre LeBrun the other day on his article. Here's the tweet. Dubois, DeBrincat, Brock Boeser, and more in my latest rumblings. Gavrikov gets the NHL trade market rolling. Pierre-Luc Dubois wants out. DeBrincat's list of teams, and more. Of course, link is going to be in the description if you want to go ahead and read this piece. It's always the protocol here. But there is a little mention of the Canucks right-handed forward in this piece. Grady has the tweet right here. Pierre LeBrun says this: there haven't been many teams calling this offseason so far on Brock Boeser. And the reality is, from what I'm hearing, or that the Canucks are more than happy to keep him in the fold if nothing comes their way that makes sense. There also was a post made on the Canucks subreddit saying this, that Brock Boeser requested a meeting with Patrick Allvin after the season, in which the player shared that he would prefer to stay put. The Canucks are happy to keep him, and there haven't been any teams calling this offseason so far. And that right there is an update that I think a lot of Canucks fans would be more than happy to oblige with. It's no secret that Brock Boeser has been somewhat of a fan favorite the past few years. His rookie season back in 17-18 was probably the highlight, and unfortunately I don't really know if Brock's ever going to be that good ever again. But over the years, Boeser has been known as Mr. Sensitive. He is the Prince Charming amongst the team. He's got a goal scorer's touch once in a while, and he improved his playmaking and defensive play over the past few years too. Plus, with all the off-ice trauma he had to go through, there are many reasons to cheer for Brock Boeser. And when it comes to the way he had played this previous season, he definitely did get a pretty good bump after the Bruce Boudreau hiring, and then inevitably after Rick Tocchet was hired too. He's been on a weird sort of tangent line, up and down, of being good and being sort of passive and not effective and being good again, and it's been a very weird cycle for Brock. This is why back in December we had ourselves news that his agent was given the permission to go out there and talk to other NHL teams and facilitate a trade, or at least help facilitate a trade. It gotten so bad to the point that we all expected Brock to be on his way out. But after the season concluded, it's a very good sign that Brock himself brought it up to Patrick Allvin and the Canucks management that he wants to stay put and he would prefer to remain a Vancouver Canuck. Furthermore to that point, we had ourselves Rick Dhaliwal on Donnie and Dolly earlier today, who had himself a similar update. He said that back in November, the Canucks were in a position to try to move him, but now Dhaliwal said, I don't think Boeser is very high on the list of players the Canucks want to move out at the moment, which means that they're going to try to go out there and move some of the other names. Dhaliwal says that at the draft combine right now, the Canucks are trying to facilitate a trade. They're going out there talking about guys like Conor Garland, they're talking about Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they're talking about a lot of the same names that we have been bringing up. It's just Boeser is no longer in that fold. Dhaliwal said on the video segment, which will also be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and listen to that, by the way, that the impression he's been given is that the Canucks want to give Boeser a full year's worth of time with Rick Tocchet. We know towards the end of the year, Boeser started producing pretty well, and he actually started to get back on the board, more so with assists than goals, unfortunately, but you did see some improvements there. And with Rick Tocchet being super adamant on the conditioning of this team, he wants them to focus on their training and their strength so much that when they come back in September, they're already ready. It's a pretty good sign because honestly, based off of the way the Canucks have started out the past few years, you can definitely tell that their conditioning has not been the best over the summers that have preceded this one. And so now with a different coach, it's a different set of expectations, and hopefully with that, it comes down to better results on paper once the season starts in 23-24. And so for Brock, I think it's kind of foolish to go out there with significantly high expectations, especially after last year where we were all kind of bamboozled. He said himself he was going to be able to get 30 goals, and then Demko piled on and said, yeah, Brock's going to do it, and then he didn't. Part of that was definitely due to the rough start, but 18 goals in 74 games played definitely isn't a season that a lot of people thought Boeser would be capable of after comments like that were made. So either way, for Brock, I'm kind of on the same page here. I want to see what a full year of Tocchet will do to this guy. I want to see what the off-season conditioning is going to be able to do. I want to see how he's able to combat what was a pretty up and down career so far and hopefully push things in a better direction long term. It's good that he himself is saying that he wants to stick around because he's believing in that plan too. And the Vancouver Canucks buying into that, saying themselves that they don't really feel like they need to trade this guy and they're trying to focus their trade chips on other players like Conor Garland, for example. It's good that everybody is on the same page here, because the fans want to see Boeser succeed, the Canucks want to see Boeser in their organization and succeeding, and Boeser himself hopefully is following what it is Rick Tocchet expects out of him. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your opinions about Brock Boeser heading into next season? What are your thoughts on the trade update that we have been given? I know I said in the thumbnail and the title, trade update, oh, big dramatic trade update, but the lack of a trade update is also an update in itself, right? The fact that he doesn't want to leave, the fact that the Canucks don't want to trade him, the fact that the coach wants to see what he can do with him, the fact that the team wants to see what they could do with him for a year. And if worse comes to worse, the guy is expiring in 2025, so there still is another offseason next year to try and trade him away. Also, by the way, speaking of expensive wingers the Canucks have on their disposal, happy birthday today to Anthony Beauvillier. I'm just on Elite Prospects right here, and it says happy birthday Beauvillier. So yeah, that guy's 26 years old, same age as Boeser is right now, so there you go, I guess, if you want to talk about Canucks that are getting older by the year. Brock Boeser will be sticking around for next season. We'll see how he does under a different regime with no Bo Horvat leadership, with no Bruce Boudreau, lackadaisical style coaching, whatever. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you think Rick Tocchet and his style will translate for Boeser over a full calendar year? We know that some of the other guys like Miller and Petey and Kuzmenko, they're going to be all right. They're going to be fine. At least, hopefully, Kuzmenko's going to be all right. But we know the top dogs on the team are going to be able to produce. But for Brock, he has not necessarily been one of those top guys for a while now. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How do you think it's going to work out for him next season? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.